Hey look, a camera. I'm thirsty for attention, so this should work out just great. Nice. Well folks, by wildly popular demand, today I am pleased to bring you a very special video about some of my favorite reseller trophies and the stories behind them. And of course, when I say wildly popular demand, I mean that when I asked if people wanted to see this video in my last video, I got one person saying, yeah, that'd be cool. And I was like, okay. But before I get into the individual stories behind everything, I wanted to give you guys a look at both of my little trophy cases in this room, just to kind of give you a glimpse of how they're sitting now. All right, so here's the first smaller one. It's right behind my door here, and it's actually made out of a little tin case that I forget what the toys are called, but I picked it up at a yard sale. They basically are like an ancestor to Connects, so that's kind of cool. I'll talk a little bit more about these items individually, but wanted to show you guys how they look together. Then over here we have my main sort of double shelf of my little collectibles. Then I guess the last thing you could consider a minor trophy collection would be up here, a few Switch and Wii boxes. I don't really want to get them down, but the story behind these is I've wanted a Switch for a while. I didn't let myself get one for the longest time, but then one month I just said, hey, I'm going to set aside a certain amount of money that I make from flipping video games, and if I can get there, then I will keep one. And ended up keeping one, and then also trading my brother-in-law for his old one to give to my wife. And now we spend a good amount of nights playing Switch together on our own separate Switches. So those are really some fond little mementos for me. The best part about owning a ring light is when you wear glasses and it just messes everything up. All right, so kicking things off here, we're gonna open up with my main man, Poliwhirl. If you didn't know, Poliwhirl is the best Pokemon, hands down. Not only is he incredibly cute, but you can tell by these little white boxing gloves that he is not someone you want to mess with. So really just all around the best Pokemon by far. So this will be a little bit of a theme in some of the items coming up that I'll show you here. That guy, he was like 50 cents at a yard sale, and anytime I find Poliwhirl, I pick him up. This I'm very proud of. This is a Poliwhirl themed GameCube controller. I didn't obviously find it in this form at a yard sale, but I did find the controller at a yard sale, and I custom painted it to look just like Poliwhirl. I can't play with it, unfortunately, because as you can see, it kind of rubs off even though I put a bunch of top coats on it. But I'm really excited to show this off because it's like one of my proudest little art pieces. Then another item from that smaller blue shelf up there is my first ever yard sale Game Boy Color. As you can see, I kept the price sticker on here. The story behind this is I walked up to this yard sale. It was a couple like older people sitting out there on their lawn chairs, and I said, hey, do you have any video game stuff? They were like, no, sorry, nothing like that. And I walk over to the table and see this little beauty out there for $1. So obviously picked it up. It works great, really good condition. I pretty much never play this thing, but it's a fantastic little conversation piece. So really happy to display that. I have a couple games for it, not collecting for this system at all, but I do have this Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour. I didn't even know what it was called. As a kid, I always called this Chipmunk Racing, and I played it on the PS1. As it turns out, the Game Boy Color version sucks. But if I ever find it complete on PlayStation 1, I'm definitely going to pick it up. This just doesn't have any value, so, you know, no reason to sell it at this point. The only other Game Boy Color game I have is Winnie the Pooh Adventures in the 100 Acre Wood. This is what I hope will be the beginning of a Winnie the Pooh video game collection, because, as you guys know, along with Poliwhirl, Pooh is my main man. So I'm hoping to beef up that collection a little bit here. Then this was actually a gift from my brother-in-law, another Poliwhirl, bet you couldn't have guessed. I don't think these are worth a ton, maybe like 10 bucks or something, but it looks like it's worth a lot more than that. These little Pokeballs are kind of a cool story. These are actually old Burger King toys. Back when Burger King and McDonald's toys, I feel like they just used to be a lot better. Maybe that's just me and stupid nostalgia, but yeah, I found probably like 45, honestly, I think it was like 50 of these things all in a box at a yard sale. Started looking up some comps and I saw that some sold individually for like 9 or 10 bucks. I was like, shoot. So I asked what they wanted for them. They said 20 bucks for the box. I said deal. And I've made probably 4 or 5 lots of them since then. And I think all of them have sold for $20+ a piece. So really solid score there. And the 2 that I kept were, I'll give you 2 guesses. Poliwhirl in here, just a little smaller plush. And then the other one you probably couldn't guess. It is Muck, because I just think he's super cool. Another trend that you'll see in some of these items, just like these, is sometimes when I pick up large lots of stuff that I kind of want to remember, I'll keep a piece or 2 from it just, you know, for the memes. Then the last item from that shelf is a bit of nostalgia for me. This actually was a Christmas gift from my sister Haven. It is a Leiwa Bionicle. I was always partial to the green ones as a kid. Unfortunately, I made the grave decision at one point in my childhood to sell all my Bionicles, ironically enough, at a yard sale. I think I had probably like 20 or 30 of them that I ended up selling for like maybe 50 or 70 bucks or something like that, which as a kid is like crazy cash. So I was thrilled at the time, but now I kind of wish I still had him. But I have this guy who, I mean, if that's not just the coolest toy ever, I don't really know what is. Fantastic little Lego guy there. So the other thing I wanted to show off a little bit in this video is some of the video games that I have kept. I'm not a huge collector for most systems, but there are a few systems that I'm collecting a little bit for, just the stuff that I'm interested in. Besides, as you guys probably know, the Switch, which I'm collecting for a little bit more heavily right now. So I'll show off all these games that I have accrued over the years, and if I can remember the stories of any of them, I will let you know. First off, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think I may have logged more hours into this game with friends than maybe any other game. The Smash Bros. Franchise for sure is, it might have competition with Pokemon for most hours logged, but I think Smash Bros. Would take the cake. Ooh, okay, so Luigi's Mansion and Mario Sunshine. A couple pretty valuable games here, and I do remember the story behind these. It was a Facebook deal that I was very quick on. It was posted, you know, maybe like 20 minutes before I got to it, and I saw it actually was a Wii bundle, but I saw in the corner of one of the pictures the corner of a GameCube. And so I messaged her and asked, hey, would you be willing to sell the Wii and all that stuff, and also any GameCube stuff that you might have? And she said, yes, come on over. So I did. I got there, and apparently she had just been getting blown up about the GameCube, and it had a bunch of solid games with it. I want to say I paid like maybe 75 bucks for the bundle, but you know, the system pretty much covered that. These were 2 of the games that I kept. I sold some other ones that I had, and it was just a great deal all around. All right, some other loose games for the GameCube that I apparently have is Sonic Mega Collection, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Mario Party 6, and as I'm looking at these, I'm realizing I should probably sell them at this point because I do not plan on playing them anytime soon. I don't even like Mario Party, but that would bring a pretty penny right about now, so I'm probably going to actually put these over here to list. I tried getting into Pokemon XD, but boy, it was so slow. I just could not do it. All right, so moving on to the lower one of my larger shelf there. First item we have here is a Transformers Beast Machines figure from the man himself, Lonnie. You can see I bought this from his shop, asked him to sign it kind of as a memento because he's helped me and taught me a lot on my journey. And so it stays up there with my trophies. I don't know anything about Beast Machines, but Lonnie's the man, and having a little signed figure from him is pretty cool. Then I've got this little Scrooge McDuck figure here. I actually found this at a flea market. I paid up for it. I paid like 10 bucks, I think, because Scrooge and I have a little bit more in common than I would like to admit. We're both very thrifty, probably too much so I don't know. I kind of relate to him and thought it was a cool figure. All right, this little guy, this absolutely beat box of Pokemon Stadium 2 was actually from a local deal that ended up turning out really well. I think I paid like 200 bucks or so for a big lot of really miscellaneous stuff. A guy was just clearing out his collection. He was having kids, just looking to make room. I actually got this TV that I used to test stuff in that deal as well. It has a bunch of cool stickers on there. But I wanted to keep this because it's not really in sellable condition. I mean, maybe someone would pay something for that, but I do love this Nintendo 64 game. But the single player mode is like brutally hard if you don't transfer your Pokemon in there, so did not beat that. Then I have, all right, you guys need to tell me if anyone else played with these as a kid, because I feel like they were somewhat obscure, but I have very vivid memories of these. Anyone? Anyone? The Pokemon battling coin game. These coins are super cool. I don't think the actual like battle game was very fun. The premise is like you spin your coins next to each other, and then like however they line up is like how much damage you do. But boy, I found these in, I'll try to throw a picture right up here if I can find it. I think I might have one on my Instagram of this Facebook post that I responded to that was like an hour or two away, of a guy that had just a shed full of retro games that I think he bought a storage unit that was like the remnants of a retro game store, and it was just floor to ceiling, wall to wall games. It was absolutely crazy. I was not, unfortunately, the first one there, so I think a lot of the choicest bits were had already been gone through, but I pulled a lot of profit out of that deal. I think I ended up spending like 900 bucks there. Got tons of stuff, and I think I ended up making that back just on like these bins of handheld games that I got, and then like everything else was profit. Anyway, paid like a couple bucks a piece for these. I could sell them for more if I wanted, but they're so nostalgic for me, so I really like these little bits here. Then we have a couple remnants from my book flipping days. That's actually how I started out as a reseller, and I found a couple ones that just kind of spoke to me. First of all, the Pooh Cookbook. No explanation needed. And then the second one I got at Half Price Books. This is the Phoenix Flight Manual, which, you know, you can't get more perfect than that. Then the last bit from the bottom shelf is actually this bit of really pretty crocodile jasper. And I have this because there's a part of the Bible in Revelation that says, in heaven the walls will be made of jasper. And so I see this, and it just kind of reminds me to see life with an eternal perspective. Next up, I'm going to go quickly through these Switch games, because it's only been like, I don't know, a month and a half or 2 months since I've started collecting these, and I'm super proud of this little lot here. Let's see. My most recent one is really crappy. Mutant Road to Eden. This was just an online arbitrage thing from GameStop. It was like their cheapest Switch game. Just Dance 2018 was local deal. This was a trade. Got that for 15 bucks retail arbitrage. It's not that valuable of a game, to be honest. Online arbitrage, same thing. So the way that I got those was like doing buy two, get one free, flipping the two that I bought and then keeping the free one. Mario Odyssey. I can't even describe how much I love this game. I'm not even halfway through it. It's just a masterpiece. Supercross, Monster Supercross, same thing, online arbitrage. Mario Party was a trade locally. Animal Crossing I traded for an extra copy of Breath of the Wild that I had. It was just loose, so that was a really good deal. Pokemon Sword, Breath of the Wild, also an incredible game. I haven't actually gotten around to playing a lot of these, but Breath of the Wild I have. Captain Toad, South Park Fractured But Whole, just picked that up this last week, as well as Ghostbusters. Then we got Mario Maker 2. That's high on my list to try out soon. I didn't even play Mario Maker 1 because I never had a Wii U. Dragon Ball again. I've never played a Dragon Ball game. I would trade that if I found something that I liked better. Zelda Link's Awakening. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I have not played this copy of this. I've played a ton of Ultimate on like other friends' Switches, but like I need to get into this one myself. Splatoon 2, that's another franchise I've never played. I think would be fun to try out. Skyrim, never played. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Honestly, was a little bit disappointed by this game. I don't really understand the hype with this. It seemed kind of standard to me. Hot take. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Don't really plan on ever playing this. I played some of Pokemon Sword. Honestly, it didn't drag me in all that much. I'll probably play more of it if I have like car trips and things like that coming up. Pokemon is a great car trip game. And then another one that I'm really excited to try out, Ark Survival Evolved. If it looks as good as it does on this back cover, I was obsessed with dinosaurs as a kid. That's like a little fun fact about your boy. So being able to play a game where you tame dinosaurs and like try to stay alive on a hostile planet, that just sounds incredible. So I hope it's as good as I'm imagining. All right, so moving on to my final shelf, then I'll do my Nintendo 64 games. Well, when I started this video, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to talk about this stuff for long enough, but that was not really an issue as it turns out. So check this out. Super Mario Bros. 2 complete in the box. Actually, I'll open this up because it's really cool to see sometimes what some of the promotions looked like in these. I love, like, look at this. Isn't that just so, when was this? Like 1990 or late 80s? Somebody help me out with that. But yeah, these like booklets and like little promo materials are just so cool to look at. The story behind this is I was at that same yard sale as I got all these Burger King toys here. Just poking around, asking, hey, you have any video game stuff, as I always do. Turns out these guys actually clean out estate sales. Or not estate sales, but they clean out estates. They're an estate clean out service. At first they were like, no, we don't really have anything, but I was kind of like loitering around as they were like cleaning out different parts of the garage. Like they just had bins stacked and stacked. And just as I was about to leave, they pull out this bin and were like, oh, hey, I think you might like this. I was like, okay. They pull out all these boxed NES games, guys, like probably 20 of them. And like 2 of them were sealed. Sealed NES games in the box. Absolutely wild. Ended up paying them, I think like $70. Something super cheap. Because that was what they asked for. I was like, what would be fair? They said 70. I was like, okay. And I'm not that well versed on these values anyway. If I knew what I was going to get, I probably would have given them 100 or so. But it also had like a DSi or something like that in there. So I was like, I'm not losing on this. So I bought it. This was one of the pieces. I think this is worth like probably $100 or so. Maybe a little more. It's in decent condition except for this little thing up here. But I ended up making probably $700. Maybe a little less. Maybe like $600 on all the stuff in there. There were multiple $100+ items in it. So that was one of my best yard sale scores ever. And so I kept this guy so that whenever I look at it, I can think, boy, that was a great score. Then we have the only other entry to my Winnie the Pooh game collection at the moment, Piglet's Big Movie Game. I think now that I'm actually looking for these, it won't take as long to find them, but I forget where I got this. And it even has some damage on the disc, but it is what it is. Then I got this Heroes of Gujitsu toy. I flipped a ton of these online via retail arbitrage when they were on clearance, and I just thought this guy looked kind of cool, so kept him for the shelf. This is kind of a cool story too. I've got a boxed and partially wrapped, although not sealed, copy of Jet Force Gemini. The story behind this was I was out yard sailing, as I do, on a Saturday, and it was like 11 o'clock, so very well on in the day. I go to this like moving sale, and everyone has already cleared out. Like they're just kind of sitting in their home. Nobody else is there. So I'm looking around and I see this Nintendo 64 on the floor. And I was like, how has nobody bought this already? And so I go over and I'm like, hey, is this working and everything? They say yes. And then I see right beside it is this black case of 4 really good condition controllers and a bunch of games, 2 of which were still in the box. So absolutely wild. I think I ended up paying like $40 or $50 for the bundle, so a really good price for all that stuff. I think that actually is the N64 that I still have to this day, and I'll actually show you the controllers because I realize I have those in there as well once I get to them. But just kind of a fun memory with this. I've never actually played this game, but you find a game like this and it's a little bit hard to let go of. It almost makes me wish that I had a collection of boxed Nintendo 64 games, although honestly it wouldn't be much bigger than it is now because I have not found very many of them. Then one of the last items here is this edition of Donkey Kong Nintendo Power that I got for $10, an absolute steal on the iconic Chase After the Right Price eBay store. So I just shot him a message with it, was like, hey man, love your stuff, and he signed it for me. So this is a cool little item on my top shelf because Chase is the man. Then I've got these 4 random little dinosaur figures. They're actually hand painted. They came from the same guy that had the floor-to-ceiling shed of games. We were just kind of cutting it up a little bit while I was there chatting, and I told him about how I used to love dinosaurs as a kid, and he pulled out these things that had just been like sitting in a junk drawer in there. I think they were from, you know, the unit or something like that, and said, you should just take these. I have no use for them. So I thought that was kind of a nice gesture. And so I kept them just as a nice little memento. All right, so last but not least, we have my Nintendo 64 and small game collection that I will show you guys. Here are those controllers that I got in that like moving sale bundle. You can see these things are in super nice shape. Like you can tell they took really good care of their stuff, and some cool colors on them too. Pretty much exactly what you want to see. So I was like, that is the perfect start to an N64 collection. So I've got Donkey Kong 64. Never played this, to be honest. It was not in my collection as a kid. But you know what was? Smash Bros. What got me hooked on the franchise in the first place. The first game that I ever got better than my dad at. So that was a lot of fun. Mario Kart 64. I don't think I've played much of that either. I don't think I had that one as a kid. But I did have Pokemon Snap. Absolutely fantastic game. And one that I just played recently for the first time and was really pleasantly surprised, Pokemon Puzzle League. I'm not normally a huge puzzle game guy, but this was really fun. It's like a Tetris style game that kind of forces your brain to work differently. Star Fox 64, really haven't played much of that. The heck is this? Oh, yeah. This is Pokemon Stadium 1. Forgot what it was for a second because the label's gone. Quest 64, I've never played this. I bought this to kind of support a local video game store when I was in there, just trying to do a little networking. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Haven't played that one, to be honest. Breath of the Wild was the first Zelda game I actually ever played. Pokemon Stadium 2 that went with that box. And finally, what has to be my favorite 64 game, Mario 64. An absolute classic. Well guys, there you have it. This is pretty much everything that I have collected and accrued for myself over the last, year and a half that I have been reselling. I've only been doing it full time since September, so I'm honestly really happy with these little trinkets that I have built up, and there are a lot of fond memories that go along with them. So thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope it was somewhat entertaining, and please share in the comments what kind of stuff you collect, if you are good about just selling almost everything you get, or if you're more of a pack rat. I'd love to hear some about what is most interesting, most tantalizing to you guys. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. That means a lot to me. And until next time, I will catch you guys on the flip.